In the heart of a quiet, sleepy town, there stood a mansion that had been abandoned for decades. It loomed over the surrounding landscape, with ivy crawling up its cracked walls and broken windows that seemed to watch like hollow, empty eyes. The locals whispered about the house, calling it cursed, haunted by the secrets of its former owners. But no one really knew what happened there, until Claire arrived. Claire Miller was a psychologist specializing in trauma and abnormal psychology. She had moved to the town to escape the chaos of her life in the city, hoping to find peace and quiet in the tranquil countryside. After a string of personal failures, both professional and emotional, she had become a shadow of her former self. The town seemed like the perfect place to start over. What she didn't know was that the town harbored its own darkness, hidden behind layers of polite smiles and neighborly greetings. The mansion had always intrigued Claire. From her new home, she could see it perched on the hill, solitary and foreboding. Rumors about the mansion didn't scare her. If anything, they piqued her curiosity. Claire had always believed in the power of the mind over superstition. She thought the stories about the mansion were merely projections of people's fears. One day, after hearing more whispered tales from the townspeople, Claire decided to explore the place herself, partly out of curiosity and partly as a test of her own psychological strength. She walked up the overgrown path toward the house, pushing open the rusted gate with a creak that echoed through the still air. The mansion was even more imposing up close. The door, though weathered, was unlocked, as if inviting her in. When she stepped inside, a sense of unease washed over her, but she pushed it aside, chalking it up to the eerie atmosphere. The interior was cold, with dust hanging in the air like a heavy fog. The furniture was covered in sheets, and the wooden floors groaned under her footsteps. As Claire wandered through the house, she found old family portraits lining the walls, faded images of solemn-looking people from another era. There was something unsettling about their eyes, the way they seemed to follow her as she moved from room to room. Then she heard it, a faint whisper. At first, she thought it was her imagination, but as she stood still, listening intently, the sound grew clearer. It was soft, barely audible, but unmistakable. Claire turned, scanning the room for the source, but saw nothing. The house was silent again. Shaking off the unease, Claire continued exploring, but the whispering persisted. It came and went, sometimes close, sometimes distant, like a voice carried on the wind. Over the next few days, Claire found herself obsessing over the mansion. She returned each day, convinced that there was something in the house, a presence that she couldn't explain.